They told you Kundalini was a fire waiting at the base of your spine. They told you her rise was a single flash of light. But they never told you the truth, that she will not awaken until two ancient rivers within you meet in harmony, guided by a sound that the soul has never forgotten. Ida, the lunar current, silver, cooling, magnetic. Pingala, the solar current, golden, heating, electric. For lifetimes they have spiraled around your spine, each singing their own silent frequency. When their songs are out of tune, you feel it. Racing thoughts, shallow breath, emotional storms that never rest. The serpent waits, because she will only rise when both voices merge into one. And when lunar breath and solar breath finally meet in perfect rhythm, a third path appears, Sushumna, the central channel, a vertical river of light where sound becomes movement and movement becomes awakening. In that moment, you hear it, not with your ears, but with every cell in your body. A vibration older than words, a tone that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It is the sound that parts the veils, that tells the serpent, now is the time. Your breath deepens. Your spine becomes an antenna. Your heart beats in the same tempo as the stars, and the current that once slept begins to rise, clear, unstoppable, carrying you beyond thought, beyond fear, beyond the weight of time. This is the real awakening, not the force of will, but the harmony of breath and the sacred sound that opens the hidden gate. The gate you were born with. The gate that has been waiting, vibrating at the center of your being. Chapter 1. The Invisible Imbalance. You've tried to awaken her. You've breathed with intention, visualized the light, imagined the serpent rising. And yet, something always pulled you back down. Not because your energy is broken, but because the two ancient currents within you have been moving out of rhythm. Ida, the lunar channel, carries the cool breath of night, the stillness of reflection, the quiet language of feeling. Pingala, the solar channel, carries the heat of day, the fire of action, the golden spark of will. They are the twin serpents of your being, and they were never meant to fight. But in the modern world, one almost always drowns the other. Too much lunar, and you sink into passivity, indecision, and dreams that never take form. Too much solar, and you burn with restlessness, control, and a hunger that nothing satisfies. Both imbalances keep the central path, the Sushumna, sealed shut. And without Sushumna, the serpent cannot rise. This is the truth almost no one tells you. Kundalini will not climb a twisted ladder. She waits, patiently, until the two currents of breath spiral in harmony, weaving equally from left and right, until they meet in perfect stillness at the spine's center. Only then does the hidden axis of light appear. That axis, the Sushumna, is not just an energy channel. It is the original temple within you, a living column of light and fire, silent yet luminous, that knows exactly how to guide the serpent without force. And this is where the real awakening begins. Not in chasing visions, not in pushing energy upward, but in restoring balance to the currents themselves. Every breath becomes an act of alignment. Every pause becomes an opening. And the moment Ida and Pingala find each other, the central gate unlocks, and the serpent remembers her way home.
Chapter 2: The Opening of the Central Path. It doesn't happen with a flash of lightning. It begins as a whisper, a soft, unmistakable current in the center of your spine, as if something ancient has stirred from sleep. The balance between Ida and Pingala has unlocked something sacred, and now between their woven streams, a third river emerges, Sushumna. No longer a sealed column, but a living channel of light, waiting for the serpent's ascent. You feel it before you can name it, a subtle pulse moving upward, not from thought, but from the deep intelligence of the body. It's warm without burning, clear without rushing. The energy rises not as an explosion, but as a spiral of quiet power, flowing exactly where it's meant to go. Sushumna does not force the serpent upward, it invites her. Every cell listens, every breath widens the path. And for the first time, you realize that Kundalini was never about climbing with effort. It was about allowing the body's own alignment to open the way. As the current moves, it begins to dissolve the shadows stored in the spine, tension knotted at the base, memories locked in the belly, old grief resting in the heart. They loosen, not because you fought them, but because the central path has awakened and the energy knows how to clear itself. This is the moment when the ascent truly begins. The serpent feels the call, and the Sushumna, once silent, now hums with the memory of every soul who has ever risen through it.
Chapter 3: The Ascent Through the Gates. The serpent does not rush. She knows every gate along the spine. Each chakra is more than a color, more than a concept. It is a living threshold, guarding a layer of memory, vibration, and truth. At the root, she meets the red earth of Muladhara, the foundation of safety, stability, and belonging. If the ground beneath you feels unsteady, she waits, because without roots, there can be no rise. When the earth within you feels solid, the serpent moves on. She spirals into the orange waters of Swadhisthana, the seat of feeling, creation, and desire. Here she tests your ability to feel without drowning, to create without clinging. If shame still cages your body, she pauses, for the current must flow without distortion. In the yellow fire of Manipura, she ignites the solar power of will and direction. But she will not feed the ego's hunger. She waits for integrity, for the will to serve truth rather than control. When she reaches the green chamber of Anahata, the heart, the spiral slows. Here lies the paradox of strength and surrender, love and boundary, pain and forgiveness. Only when the heart beats freely does the current expand, warming the chest in waves of coherence. At the blue sky of Vishuddha, the throat, she meets your voice, not the voice trained to please, but the voice that carries the vibration of truth. Every word swallowed over lifetimes is felt here, and when you finally speak from presence, the spiral moves again. In the indigo light of Ajna, the third eye, she clears the fog from your vision. What you see now is not illusion, but the geometry beneath events, the truths behind appearances. The mind becomes the servant of awareness. Finally, she touches the thousand-petaled crown, Sahasrara. Here, the spiral meets stillness. Shakti rises to meet Shiva. Movement dissolves into presence, and the body becomes a bridge between heaven and earth.
Chapter 4: The Reorganization of Reality. When the serpent has passed through every gate, you realize the ascent was never just about energy. It was about alignment. And alignment changes everything. Your senses sharpen. Colors seem more alive. The space around you feels charged, as if every particle is aware of your presence. You no longer just think. You feel truth before it's spoken. Emotions that once ruled you now arrive like visitors. You meet them at the door. Listen, and let them leave when their message is complete. Nothing sticks the way it used to, because the central channel is flowing. People notice something in you, though they can't name it. Some are drawn closer, others quietly drift away. Not because you've changed who you are, but because your vibration no longer matches the patterns that once kept you small. Your intuition stops speaking in hints and starts speaking in clarity. You sense the unfolding of events before they arrive. Opportunities align without forcing. Obstacles dissolve without struggle. This is not luck, it is resonance. The Sushumna doesn't just carry Kundalini upward, it carries a new signal outward. Every thought, every breath, every choice now imprints into the field with precision, and reality begins to rearrange itself around the frequency you have become. This is why the ancients guarded this knowledge, because once the central path is open, you are no longer moved by the chaos of the outer world. You move from the axis within.
Chapter 5: Living from the Central Axis. When Sushumna remains open, life stops feeling like a series of random events and begins to move as a precise, intelligent sequence. Every breath becomes a calibration. Every step becomes an act of creation. Ida still flows, cooling, receptive, intuitive, but Pingala still flows, warming, active, decisive. But now they are no longer competing currents. They are partners, spiraling in harmony, feeding the central flame that never flickers. You notice that balance is not a static point, it's a living rhythm. Some days the lunar current leans stronger, inviting you inward to rest, reflect, and feel. Other days the solar current rises, pushing you outward to act, express, and build. Yet in both, Sushumna stays steady, the unshaken axis through which all movement flows. This is the secret of the awakened body. It doesn't seek to silence the currents. It learns to orchestrate them. Like the strings of an ancient instrument, Ida and Pingala become tuned to each other, and the sound they create is the pure hum of presence. And presence is not passive. It bends reality. When your inner currents are aligned, the outer world responds without resistance. The right people appear at the right time. The wrong doors close before you can knock. Even challenges become precise teachers, arriving with lessons your energy is ready to absorb. This is living Kundalini, not a momentary surge, but a constant dialogue between your inner rivers and the cosmic ocean. Every moment, the serpent is not just rising, she is speaking through you, expressing the union of lunar, solar, and central light in every word, choice, and breath.
Chapter 6: The Unveiling of Multidimensional Awareness. When the serpent moves freely through the Sushumna, Your awareness no longer belongs to a single dimension. You begin to sense the layers beneath what others call reality. Time stops feeling linear. Moments from the past rise in your awareness, not as memories, but as living threads you can touch, shift, and heal. The future stops being distant. It hovers close, whispering possibilities in symbols and sensations. You start to feel the field around you as a living organism, a web of currents, each carrying intention, resonance, and potential. Some threads feel warm and magnetic, pulling you forward. Others feel heavy and tangled, warning you to step back. This sensing is no longer guesswork. It's direct perception. In this state, intuition and action merge. You don't just trust your gut. You know the moment to speak, the instant to move, the exact breath to pause. The body, mind, and field have become one instrument. Even your dreams transform. They stop being chaotic stories and become precise transmissions. Visions encoded with guidance, sometimes arriving with the clarity of waking life. And you wake up with the same feeling each time. I have been somewhere real. This is the gift of the awakened Sushumna. It doesn't just connect the base to the crown. It connects the seen to the unseen, the physical to the subtle, the self to the infinite. Once you've stepped into this awareness, you can never return to the illusion of separation. You are no longer a traveler moving through reality. You are reality, spiraling through itself, forever aware of every layer it contains.
Chapter 7. The Dissolution of the False Self. When Kundalini flows unobstructed through the Sushumna, you no longer live inside the boundaries of who you thought you were. The names, labels, and roles you once carried feel like clothes that no longer fit. You begin to see that the you who lived in imbalance was built from fragments, from childhood impressions, social expectations, and unprocessed experiences buried deep in the nervous system. They formed an image, a mask you wore for so long you believed it was your skin. But as the currents merge and the central axis stands luminous, the mask begins to fall away, not in a violent tearing, but in a graceful shedding, like the serpent's old skin, released when it has outgrown its form. With each layer that dissolves, a deeper presence emerges. It's not a personality. It's not an identity you choose. It is the pure awareness that has always been here, watching every rise and fall of breath, every lifetime, every story. From this place, you no longer react from fear or habit. You respond from clarity. The patterns that once trapped you lose their grip. The people, situations, and thoughts that once triggered you now pass through like wind through open doors. This is why the sages spoke of dying before you die. It is not the end of life, it is the end of living as a fragment. What dies is the illusion of separation. What remains is the living field of your essence, whole, unshaken, and awake. And when you walk in the world from this state, everything you touch feels your coherence. Every word carries the weight of truth. Every gaze reflects the infinite. The false self has dissolved. Only the witness remains, and the witness is limitless.
Chapter 8. The Field of Living Presence. When the false self dissolves, you don't have to announce your transformation. It moves ahead of you, in your breath, in your eyes, in the silent vibration that fills the space around you. People feel it before they understand it. Some are drawn closer, as if your presence awakens a memory they didn't know they had. Others drift away without a word, unable to stand in the mirror of your clarity. It is not rejection. It is the natural sorting that happens when vibration changes. Your relationships shift. Those built on fear, dependency, or unspoken contracts quietly fade. Those rooted in truth deepen effortlessly. You begin to speak less, but every word carries more weight. Even silence becomes a transmission. The space around you starts to reorganize. Environments that once drained you lose their hold. Opportunities that match your energy seem to arrive on their own. It's not magic, it's coherence. When your inner currents are aligned, the outer world reflects that alignment with precision. You realize you no longer need to convince or control. Your presence itself becomes the invitation. It tells others without words, it is possible to live without fragmentation. Some will rise to meet you in that space. Some will not. Both are perfect. This is the quiet power of an awakened Sushumna. It doesn't just transform you, it transforms the field you carry. And that field extends beyond what your eyes can see, touching lives, places, and moments you may never know, because energy always moves where it is most needed.
Chapter 9. The Dance of Synchronicity. When the currents of Ida and Pingala flow in harmony and the Sushumna stands open like a column of light, life stops feeling like a chain of random moments. It moves as a living choreography, each step meeting you exactly where you are meant to be. You notice it first in small ways. The right person calls at the perfect time. A book falls from a shelf with the exact sentence you needed. You think of someone and they appear. These are not accidents. They are the language of the awakened field, speaking through coincidences to remind you you are in alignment. The more you remain in this central axis, the more the world responds with precision. Opportunities align without force. Obstacles dissolve before they can block your path. Even challenges arrive in perfect timing. Not to break you, but to refine your energy and deepen your presence. You realize that manifestation is not about chasing, visualizing harder, or bending reality to your will. It's about becoming so aligned within that reality has no choice but to align with you. The inner spiral sets the rhythm and the outer world dances to it. This is the point where trust becomes effortless. You no longer question whether you are supported. You see the evidence in every unfolding. Life is not happening to you. It is happening with you, co-creating in real time. And in this dance of synchronicity, the serpent is no longer just rising. She is guiding. Every step, every encounter, every turn in the path becomes part of a design far greater than your plans.
Chapter 10. The axis becomes you. At first, the balance was something you sought, a state you entered through breath, awareness, and discipline. But now, it is not something you do, it is something you are. The currents of Ida and Pingala flow like twin guardians, their harmony no longer fragile, but steady as the tide. Sushumna, once hidden, now stands as the eternal spine of your being, a luminous pillar that remains open in every breath, waking or sleeping. You no longer fall back into the old gravity of imbalance.
If a shadow rises, it dissolves as naturally as clouds passing through an endless sky. If tension appears, it is met and released before it roots itself. Your system knows the way home without effort, because the path is no longer a channel within you. The path is you. In this state, action flows without doubt, speech carries the weight of truth, and silence radiates more power than words ever could. The boundary between inner and outer disappears. What you feel shapes what you see, and what you see reflects what you are. This is why the ancients called Sushumna the royal road, not because it leads somewhere, but because it reveals you were the destination all along. The union of lunar and solar, the dance of Shakti and Shiva, the rise of the Serpent, all of it was guiding you to the moment where the seeker disappears and only the axis remains. And from this axis, life unfolds without resistance, not because you control it, but because you are in rhythm with its deepest pulse. Every movement is sacred. Every breath is prayer. Every moment is awakening.
Final activation. If something inside you stirred today, don't let the energy fade back into silence. Type in the comments, "I am the axis. I am the union. I rise in the Sushumna." Let it be more than words. Let it be a signal to your body, a seal to the universe that you are ready to live in balance, where lunar and solar meet in the eternal column of light. Share this with someone who has forgotten their center. And never forget, once the axis awakens, there is no going back to sleep.